Don't put your yield at risk. Put your trust in proven solutions. Anvil Nitrogen Stabilizer, Super U Premium Fertilizer, and Tribune Nitrogen Stabilizer from Koch Agronomic Services. These products offer higher active ingredient concentrations imitator brands can't match. See the difference at defendyourn.ca.
Well, the Canadian Cattle Association has a new president, and I'm so happy to have him here joining us here today on the show. It is Tyler Fulton. Tyler, how are we doing?
I'm good. How are you doing, Sean?
I'm doing pretty good. Well, give us your background on your operation because you're kind of unique here because when I first met you, you were a pork guy. So, like, what's going on here?
Yeah, I actually had never had anything, in terms of pork production experience. But when I was going through university in Manitoba, that's where a lot of the jobs were, the agribusiness jobs were, and so I was focused on trading, on kind of getting into the trading aspect of ag right out of university, and so that's where the jobs were. So I've actually maintained that job in a part-time role for the last 25 years. But at the same time, obviously, growing our family's operation here in Birtle, Manitoba. So we
Yeah,
run about
okay, I was just, tell
650
us about the
cows.
operation. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. So we run about 650 cows. Background, the calves typically will graze the yearling heifers. We also have a small cropping enterprise as well. We do a little bit of canola and wheat, but that's actually only an addition over the last 2 or 3 years or so.
What was the original thrust that made you step up and put your name forward and get involved in CCA?
Well, my dad encouraged me to do it. He had been a director, 40 years ago,
Oh
and
wow.
thought that I would really love it. But I feel like it was in my skill set as well. My off-farm job kind of informed me of, broader markets and risk management. And these are core issues that are key to the cattle industry right now. So I felt like I was well prepared. And then, once you kind of get in and you start making new friends and stuff, it just sucks you in. I love it. The people are really and meeting the people that I have is just awesome.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to I'm sure I will see you lots on the road during meeting and convention season. And you're well aware of the amount of time commitment that this role as president of the Canadian Cattle Association is. Uh, and I think usually what we would do is we would say, hey, what are the two, three, four priorities for you in your time in this role? We can do that because I'm sure there are a number of issues, but really probably trade with the Americans right now is just number one, number two, and number three.
Yeah, 100%. That's not to say that there's not a ton of great work that's ongoing, but it really represents a massive risk, one of the biggest risk, and it's just by nature of the fact that the industry exports 50% of our beef and cattle. With the majority of that going to the U.S. When you have an industry that's structured and so heavily reliant on exports, you need to dedicate the attention to ensuring that market access, and that's critical.
Yeah.
So for us, anyways, just over the course of the last 2 or 3 months, we've really stepped up our advocacy, both with our federal government, but also in Washington. We've had several trips and have joined several international panels or committees, business committees. And I was actually just in Washington last week, so kind of thrown to the wolves pretty quick.
Yeah. So how did the meeting go the trip last week to DC? How did it go? I guess give us some on the ground stuff here. What's the response and what are some of the signals we should watch and out for here?
Yeah, so we in 2 days we had about 15 meetings, largely with largely with congressmen from rural areas, biased to more Republican, and our messaging was pretty simple. We wanted to just relay the importance of the integrated the nature of the integrated cattle and beef market. It's really unique, amongst really all of agriculture, just by virtue of the fact that we have live animals that will move across the line back and forth. Both ways, beef the same way, and we're all better off for it. Just following the principle of comparative advantage.
Yeah. What do you say to some members of the audience that text and email and say, listen, we're clearly it's been great to be able to export so much of our product to the US, but clearly that's not the future. We're too integrated. It's a weakness. What do you say to that?
Well, I mean, I think there's some great markets elsewhere. Asia is a fast-growing market, but it still represents a real minority of our total industry. And you really can't change the economics of things. When the U.S. It makes up such a large percentage and such an economic powerhouse. When their consumers are willing to pay the most, you can't buck that trend. It's those market signals that should command where the beef and feed ingredients flow, and so that's why that North American market is, I think, just so complementary. It is better. We're more efficient together from a global perspective.
Yeah. What are some of the other priorities that you're working on at CCA?
Yeah, obviously, and especially in this context, we've got, we're advocating for some improvements on business risk management tools.
Mm.
Really close to my heart would be the Livestock Price Insurance Program that is, industry designed. But to put us on a level playing field with both either crop farmers in Canada or even livestock operators in the United States. We'd like to see some cost shared premiums. We think it's just a really effective program that addresses this major risk for cattle operations, and that's price risk. And so some support on those premium costs would be ideal. Changes to AgriStability is another aspect of it. In particular, for the feed yards, they are at acute risk in this tariff environment, of really taking it hard initially, and so addressing the AgriStability cap to include more of those large operations is critical for the whole of the cattle industry. Um, I have to mention, ongoing and of increased importance coming out of our AGM a couple weeks ago is a focus on animal disease preparedness. Um, I don't Quite simply, traceability and biosecurity have to be a priority. I'm very concerned about the development of the foot and mouth disease outbreak in Eastern Europe, and we need a traceability system that works for industry, that's effective at really minimizing the effect on it by virtue of our reliance on trade. And then also there's a biosecurity aspect that never really gets any speaking about it. But we've got some improvements to make, and we have to be better prepared for this.
Yeah, well, I also thought of screwworm,
Yep,
as another example, right?
yep.
So,
Perfect example.
yeah, so the price insurance, and you use the example of, or the parallel, I guess, of, livestock producers in the cattle industry would like the same sort of support or programming as crop farmers have. What is the hang up here? At one time it was like a trade. It was kind of, but that ship seems to have sailed in, and maybe I'm getting out ahead of myself, but that's an old argument. It doesn't exist anymore. I'm sorry, in today's trading world. What's the holdup?
Well, yeah, there's some irony there, right? I mean, the the dynamic right now is that we don't have a great deal of, a huge percentage of our price risk being covered by livestock price insurance because it's so expensive. And we're in an extremely risky environment with the tariff threats. But on on the flip side, we can't get the support from the government, to lower those costs of managing risk because of that reference to trade risk that those contributions may expose us to. And it's just it's an argument that has no merit. The industry is not at all concerned about it, but it's one that we continue to get pushback from government officials on, and it's tone deaf. Like it really makes no sense that this is an industry-led, supported program that gets a ton of support, and and we can't move the needle in getting an equivalent amount of support as what I would get for my crop and in crop insurance in covering my canola and wheat acres.
Yeah, I don't know. A lot of times we'll hear, bring an industry-led solution to these problems. Okay, here you go. It's right here in front of you. Especially, when we think about some of the risk that people, I don't have the livestock numbers off the top of my head, but just Canadian farmers in general, 68% of them view 2025 as more riskier for their farm businesses than 2024, and you compare those numbers to 2023, it's even more riskier. So and whether it's reality or it's the perception, the risk environment's becoming much more heightened for a lot of producers and livestock producers included, even with the high prices. And hey, like with the high prices comes some risk too, like people's willingness to invest in animals, people's willingness to invest in capitals. Like, is now really a good time to do? Like, there's a lot of people asking themselves that kind of questions. But you're definitely in a seat right now, Tyler, at CCA, where there's some good economic times for the beef industry. We can't underscore that as well.
100%. Yeah, it's just so optimistic about the future. But we need to really maintain our focus on ensuring that the young producers, because let's be honest, our demographics are not getting any younger yet. There's great incentives there to get into the cattle business, but we need to provide some tools that they can use in order to manage this risk, because we're asking them to take on a ton of risk in investing in the land and capital that's required for the cattle business. So I am 100% in agreement. I think that the conversation has to migrate to where individuals are managing that risk proactively. And I can't say enough about some of the work that you've done, even with Tyler McCann of Cappy, just in talking about that dynamic and how that's got to change, especially for government supported programs.
Yeah, great stuff. Well, I appreciate that, Tyler, very much. All the best to you. Congratulations. And I hope you like the seat of an airplane, because you're going to find your butt in it quite a bit. I promise you that.
I've learned my suitcase does not get put away anymore for probably the next 2 years. So
welcome to my world. Welcome to my world. We've been talking to Tyler Fulton. He's the new president of the Canadian Cattle Association. Tyler, thanks a lot, and good luck with 2025 planting, okay?
Thank you.